I was visiting family in Georgia, near Atlanta, but about 20 to 25 minutes away from the actual city. Luckily, my friend was visiting them with me. My parents were hosting a neighborhood get-together and were making mixed drinks, but ran out of liquor and some other various items, and asked us if we could swing by a few places to grab some things. Plan was simple. I would drive, the first stop would be the liquor store, the second stop the grocery store. We'd make it as fast a trip as possible so we could help get things ready and enjoy the limited time we had to spend there. My friend used to work in a liquor store and has extensive knowledge of the types of liquor, mixers, etc. So I was confident that she would be able to find what we were looking for and even come up with some extra ideas. Even though the plan was to be fast, I knew we were going to spend more time there than necessary in the liquor store because she loves browsing the selection of stores that are out of town. So we grab what was on the list and continue to walk the aisles while she picks up and examines some bottles and gets excited when she sees something that's rare or unavailable where we live. This goes on for a little while, and a guy that we assumed worked there approaches us and says, "Do you need help finding anything or have any questions?" We definitely did not need help, not with my friend the expert. So I said, "No, but thanks so much. We already found what we needed and are just browsing. Thanks for offering your time, though." Yeah, I'm too nice. After I politely declined, he hung around and started to make small talk. It was okay at first. Sometimes it's nice when people chat with you, considering we tend to have our faces in our phones. Well, he starts by commenting on the weather and what a beautiful day it was, saying that the rest of the holiday weekend should be nice too. Then he says, "Oh, where do you live?" That took me aback. I was already feeling uncomfortable with how close he'd been standing to us, and was just getting weird vibes. Not to mention annoyed at this point because I wanted to talk with my friend and move on with the rest of our to-do list. So maybe he just wanted an idea of what part of town we were from, maybe trying to just make more small talk. But the way he phrased it, the way the tone of his voice changed, the way he almost demanded it rather than asked, maybe he wanted to let us know about an event going on somewhere? Maybe something benign and kind, like to inform us there had been a traffic incident and if we were headed in that direction to take an alternate route? Like I said, I'm too nice and often naive, so these were the things going through my head trying to justify that my uneasiness was unwarranted. But leading with, "Where do you live?" instead of "Do you stay on this side of town?" or "Are you headed north because there is insert event or traffic warning?" would have been a little less creepy in my opinion. I was doing most of the talking because my friend was so preoccupied with the different bottles, pulling them off the shelves, looking at the prices, wondering what she could mix them with, etc. So, me being me, I tell him we don't live around here and are only visiting, which triggers a whole new array of questions. Like, "Oh, where are you from? Who are you visiting? Where do they live?" I was as vague as possible. I lied about where we were from exactly. I did say we were visiting my parents. I said I didn't know my way around here and couldn't even begin to tell him where they lived, and that I was relying solely on GPS. I don't know in hindsight if that was a good idea or not, but that's what happened. He keeps pressing. At this point, my friend, who isn't as nice and doesn't try to be polite as I do, chimes in. I can't believe I used to worry about being so polite and nice, even to a creepy liquor store employee who wouldn't leave us alone, despite other customers entering the store. I even thought to myself, why wasn't he asking them if they needed help? Anyway, she interrupts me and the creepy guy's conversation after hearing that and says, "Yeah, we need to go to that aisle over there and grab mixer and then leave. I didn't realize how much time we've been spending here and we're running late." She then hands me the bottle of liquor that she had picked, making sure that mine and her wedding rings were clearly flashed by now, in case he didn't already notice them. We make our way over to the aisle, and he follows. He asks things like what we were mixing, what event it was for, and tries to recommend something else. When he tried to recommend something else, my friend says, "Yeah, I used to work at a liquor store too, and I found that I like this combo, but maybe I'll try it next time. Thanks though, enjoy yours." He keeps talking and we keep moving toward the checkout. we're standing in line and he says, I have a fun, great group of people going on the lake this weekend on my speedboat. You guys should come. We will all be partying all weekend. Really? I literally just told you that we are visiting my parents from out of town. So why in the world would we want to spend that precious time ditching my parents to spend with strangers on the lake? Especially if he had noticed our wedding bands. No thanks. Like I said, we have plans with my parents this weekend. He starts babbling about how there's more than one day in a weekend and how we should get out on the boat, even just for a little while. And it would be a great time. My friend is finally like, hey, we said no thank you. We had our things rung up by the cashier and got our receipt and started grabbing our bags. While we're walking away, I hear him ask the cashier, do y'all sell ice? The cashier says, yes, we do. Just pay here and grab it at the cooler on the way out. Is that all you need? Creepy guy says, yep, thanks. Throws some cash on the table and says he doesn't need change. What? We thought he worked there. After all, he was offering to help us find the right liquor, and when my friend said that she also used to work at a liquor store, he didn't correct her. This whole time, we thought we were just being followed around by a creepy employee making small talk. Now we realize we were being followed around by a creepy guy that was free to easily follow us out of the store. Now, I'm thinking a million miles a minute. No one knew his name, just in case something more serious became of this, because he didn't buy any alcohol, he didn't get carded, and he didn't pay with a card. Who goes to a liquor store to buy ice when you're not even sure if they sell it? Well, at that point he's right on our tail, following us out where he'd be passing the ice cooler. My friend and I had both picked up on how he obviously didn't work there. I think it's fair to say that anyone would question in the back of their head why a guy would spend a decent amount of time in a liquor store talking to two girls, not browsing or even purchasing any liquor for himself, just to follow them to the checkout and ask if they sell ice. So we're speed walking toward the car. Luckily, it's the kind of car that I could start before even getting in. So I had the car running, and as soon as we got close enough, the car sensed the fob and unlocked for us. I locked the doors as soon as we were both in safe. The car is a Ford Explorer, and it's got extremely tinted windows. You can hardly see into the car even if you press your face against the window. We wonder if he saw us get into the car, and if so, would he follow us? We watched him walk out struggling with the bag of ice and look around. The parking lot only had a couple other cars in it. He stayed outside of the store and set the ice down and casually plays on his phone. I originally was planning to wait until he got into his own vehicle and drove away before pulling out, but decided we'd wasted enough time and he wasn't even walking to his car. Maybe someone was picking him up or something, but we didn't have any more precious time to waste on this complete random creep. I was probably overreacting anyways, and we could be spending time with family and friends instead of idling in a parking lot. Plus, he wasn't in a car, so even if he did have his own car in the lot and was waiting for us to leave, it would take him a minute to get into his own and follow us. And if someone was picking him up, well, then he'd still be waiting for them. Now that my thoughts have gone that far, I decide I'm completely overreacting and pull out. We knew he couldn't see who was in the car, we didn't know if he ever saw us get in, and he didn't approach us while we were idling either. And guess what? We needed ice. We didn't think the liquor store would sell ice. We never asked or saw it. We sure as hell weren't going back in there to buy it, once we did find out. We had to go to the grocery store anyways, so I pulled into the grocery store parking lot a few miles down the road. My friend says to just drop her off so she can get in and get out and we can finally hurry up and get back. We only needed a couple of other things besides ice that were small and easy to grab. She gets out and I start circling the parking lot waiting for her to come out. I feel like it's taking forever and I call her. Her phone rings in the car, in the passenger seat. Great. So I keep circling, and after what seemed like forever, she came out with the stuff we needed and the ice. She hops in the car with the stuff, not even bothering to open the back door or trunk to put the ice back. So she just has this giant bag of ice on her lap and says, "Let's go now." She said the guy was in the store. She didn't notice until he was behind her in line, and he said, "Hey, what a coincidence. Where's your friend?" To which she said, "Yeah, pretty weird coincidence," but she didn't tell him where I was. If she told him I was outside in the car, she was basically telling him that she was alone in the store. He could easily plan to follow her out to wherever I was parked and try something along the way. This place was packed. If I wasn't circling, I'd have been parked near the back of the lot for sure, and most likely between other cars, which would have been beneficial for him if he decided to try something when she was getting into the car. I think that not answering his question was pretty smart. She did have an attitude about the coincidence, but if anything, I think that showed him that she wasn't naive and that she wasn't afraid to call him out. She didn't have her phone with her either, so it's not like she could call or text me. But even then, suppose she did have her phone on her. Who's to say he wouldn't have knocked it out of her hand once she was close enough to our, hypothetically, parked car? She said he was holding a pack of gum, and that was it. He went to the same extremely crowded grocery store that we just happened to go to buy a pack of gum. She said he tried to give her his business card after she checked out while he was paying for the gum he apparently came there to buy. She told him that he said, "I'm just going to be blunt. You and your friend are very attractive ladies, and I'm hoping you'll give me a call. Your friend is especially attractive, and I was hoping the liquor store wouldn't be the last place I saw her. Don't get me wrong, you're very attractive too, but the liquor store isn't the last time I'm supposed to see you both. It's just not supposed to be that way." He's extending his business card, and she didn't say anything. She walked out and tried to blend in with the crowd, and luckily, I happened to drive past the front of the store for the millionth time right when she needed me. We were both grateful that the rest of our visit went great, and there was no sign that the guy had followed us home or anything. How he got to the same grocery store we were at so fast, I honestly don't know. Maybe he was alone, or maybe a buddy was nearby and he was messaging him and got picked up right when we pulled away from the liquor store. I don't know. What I do know is that I'm happy that my friend was with me, and I will no longer be the over-polite, naive woman who doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. If things get weird or I get a hint of uneasiness, I'm trusting my gut, and I don't care if I hurt anybody's feelings. And I'm also making sure I don't leave my phone in the car. This could have been a coincidence, but it also may not have been. This was my freshman year of college. The campus was uptown and the frats and party houses were downtown. My suite mate and I liked to party, and we're always downtown together. Girls usually traveled downtown in groups because, well, it's really dangerous and super ghetto. Although it was always just us two because it was easier to be ourselves and truly have fun. We knew how to take care of each other in situations where the other is blacked out, etc. One night, we had just left a frat party, and we were positive they put Molly in the juice. This was common, but the brothers would usually tell one of us before they do. So my suite mate and I get completely messed up after 3 or 4 cups of it and decided to walk to the next house. It was around 3 a.m., and we were walking the streets. My suite mate had no jacket, wearing a crop top. It was the middle of January in upstate New York. So we decided to stop by one of the frat houses we were passing by so that a brother could lend her a hoodie. We stumbled in, she grabbed a jacket, and I grabbed a hammer for some reason. When I'm messed up, I tend to be a total kleptomaniac and steal random objects like staplers and just random stuff. I don't know why, but yes, this is important for later. So we're walking down the main street of downtown, hammer in my coat sleeve, and this guy runs up to us from the other side of the street. He looks like he's maybe in his late 20s. "Hey, can you help me? I'm bleeding from my hand. My house is right there. Please, just help me." He had blood on his fingers, and he was holding his hand. And I didn't think anything of it, and I was truly concerned to help this guy. I know now that it was super sketchy, and I should have just walked away, but my suite mate and I walked into this dude's house. We followed him in, and that's when I started to feel in my gut that something was wrong. He just stood there and stared at us. Didn't even go clean up or anything. My suite mate looked at me and whispered, "There's no furniture in here. This is sketchy." Then he told us to wait right where we were, and this was weird because weren't you just asking for help? I looked at him, and without thinking, held the hammer up and started losing it. "Who the hell are you? Who else is in here? What are you trying to do? I'll mess you up." just completely losing it on him. My voice is pretty loud, and I'm a strong-built female. He was like, "Please, put the hammer down. Why does she have a hammer?" He put his hands up, and you could see that he had no wound on his hand. He kept going, "Just put the hammer down." Then we heard someone else walking from the back of the house to where we were. I grabbed my suite mate, and we booked it out the door and down the street. We walked into the deli where all the college students chill out or wait for their rides back to campus. We sat down and we looked at each other, and we both just started laughing. It was a messed up situation we got ourselves into, but who knows what would have happened if I didn't have that stupid hammer. The story is very short and a bit anticlimactic, but I wanted to share the story anyway. When I was in 5th grade in my science class, from what I remember, there was a project we had to do that used the sun. So we went outside to what was the reading garden next to the building. It wasn't actually owned by the school, but was owned by the library and also next to the building. However, they allowed people from the school to do whatever school stuff they could, like in this case, do a science experiment. So we got there with our group, and we started in on our experiment. After maybe 10 minutes, some guy walks to one of the benches with what I believe was a bag of seeds, but I couldn't really tell. This guy on the bench that he sat at was probably at least 8 feet away. I looked down at my project for a while, and then eventually looked back up, and I saw this guy pointing at me weirdly by moving his finger up and down. Or so I thought. While looking at the guy, I pointed to myself and mouthed, "Me?" thinking he was pointing at me. Then, I realized he wasn't pointing at me, and instead was pretending to shoot a gun at me with his fingers made like a finger gun. After a while, my group member Maria noticed and told our teacher. Our teacher noticed too and said that she would watch the man. We went back to our experiment, and after a while we could hear other kids who probably noticed go up to her and tell her about the man. He was still doing the pretend shooting thing, so after a while my teacher had had enough and told the man that he needed to leave. I don't remember what he said, but he got mad and tried defending himself by pretty much saying he hadn't done anything wrong. He eventually left, and my teacher called the work off, and we went back into the school where she reported the incident to the office. We went back up to the classroom to talk about what just happened, like what was in that bag. When talking about what just happened, my group member Nathaniel said he could hear the man quietly say how he could get past security very easily if he could. Or something along those lines. To this day, I wonder if what he said was serious or not. So this is my first post here. It's long, but a scary experience from 15 years ago. I'm 29 and female, and anyways, I'm not from the US. I'm from a smaller country. And when I was 14, I had a missed call off of a number that I didn't recognize one day. Being 14, I never called, I only text people, so I asked this number who it was, etc. The reply I got was that they had called the wrong number by mistake. No big deal, except they started to try to text me things like, "How are you?" etc. I was naive and played along when I was bored. I made up a fake name and even sent him a fake photo of some random girl off the internet just because he bugged me so much. And I didn't want him to know me because stranger danger and all that, but I did tell them that I was 14. He never called me again, and I had no intention on calling him, so we just texted here and there. He told me he was 17. He was very intense in terms of telling me how I was too nice for him and that he was so lucky. I was never the mushy type, and it always seemed like a cheesy film scene when he went on like this. But he was very persistent. I could get up to 100 messages a day, and I might reply to maybe 20 of them. I saw no reason to be worried until one day I told my friend about this guy I was texting, and we decided to prank call him. And this guy answered who sounded like he was at least my dad's age. We freaked out, and I stopped texting him. He figured out it was me who called him because of my sudden ghosting. He put 2 and 2 together. To this day, I don't know how. It's not like today where tracking is somewhat easier. especially since I gave this guy a fake name and my phone number wasn't attached to any of my social media back then. I told him the part of the country I lived in, but not what town or any other details. He kept calling me, and of course I ignored him. Then, one day in school, me and the friend that prank called him got several messages. When she prank called him, we forgot to put her number on private, and missed calls asking us where we were, did we like him, and telling her to tell me to come meet him, and it was pretty intense. She was obviously freaked out as much as I was. Then even more so when he sent us both a picture of our school. We completely freaked out. There's 6 schools in our town, and how he got the right one, I will never know. We stayed after school to study in fear that he was outside. My maths teacher was a family friend, and I waited for her to come around to ask for a ride home for us. We went to my house, turned on our phones to a crazy amount of messages, all saying he would meet me one day and how much he loved me. He told us that he had traveled 4 hours and couldn't understand why we didn't come out to say hi. I was petrified to tell my mother, so we decided to ditch our phone numbers and get new phone numbers, and just never utter a word of this ever again. For the next few weeks, I lived in a world of constant fear and anxiety. I couldn't walk alone even though I knew it was probably impossible to know who I really was. But in the end, I told my mother and went to the police because I knew this guy had bad intentions. The phone number I had for him was a burner phone, basically. It had no details attached to it and was impossible to really look into any further. Nonetheless, we did make a statement, and that was that. So yeah, the man pretending to be a 17-year-old boy who drove 4 hours to meet a 14-year-old girl. Let's never, ever, ever meet. For the backstory, my fiancé is 24 and I'm 21, and we recently got an adorable 2-year-old German Shepherd back at the end of February. She's been a great addition to our family, and she loves her mama so much. I've had many dogs in my childhood, but I've never had one as loyal or smart as my current German Shepherd. Now, this encounter happened a few weeks ago, but my mind still goes back to it every once in a while, so I thought I would share it here. My fiancé and I live together in an apartment complex, which is nice as it offers some nice amenities for our new pup, like a dog park and a large space of grass right outside our apartment. We usually take our pup to this space of grass to let her run around and do her business whenever she needs. This one day though, my fiancé and I decided to take her out together and get some fresh air. It was a hot 90 degrees plus, so I was only wearing a sports bra and shorts, trying to combat the overwhelming heat. I'm walking her and taking her up and down the hill until she gets done doing whatever she needs to do, when I notice her turn to where there are some cars parked. She's the type of dog who loves other dogs but doesn't care one bit about humans, so I assumed maybe there was another dog around. Instead of turning back to finish her business, she keeps her eyes on the cars, purposely positioning herself between me and the cars. A few seconds later, I watch as a man exits around the cars, me not noticing him before because of some foliage. During all this, my fiancé is a little out of it, so he doesn't notice any of this, but as the man walks around the cars and down the road around the grass, my pup is tracking him with her eyes and keeping the separation between the man and I. Eventually, the man stops and pulls out his phone, pointing it at the sky to take a photo. My fiancé, still being the goof that he is, stares up at the sky too, commenting about how beautiful it looks. But because my pup is staring at the guy, I'm staring at him too. I just have a feeling that there is something wrong with him. My pup doesn't care about other humans. They could walk by any time and she would not even give them a second glance, but with him it was different. When he finished taking the photo of the sky, I watched as he turned his phone toward me and my dog to take a photo of us. Now, I know I was scantily clad because it was hot and all I was doing was taking my dog out, nothing else. I had locked eyes with this man as he turned his phone, and I could tell that it freaked him out a bit, seeing that I had caught him trying to snap a photo. He hurried away. He hurried away after getting caught, my pup and I watching as he walked down the road. Now, I haven't seen him since this incident, and I'm not sure if he lives in the complex or if he was just walking through, but I am happy that my German Shepherd was looking out for me. She got plenty of treats when we got back inside for that. Hey, hi, howdy, my friends. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I hope you enjoyed this beautiful collection, this wonderful collection of stories, specifically stories of the terrifying true persuasion, because this was a collection of terrifying true stories, and I hope you enjoyed them, because I really enjoy telling these stories, and as I said last time, honestly, there is a sense of entertainment in these. Of course, my channel is an entertainment channel, but there's also a sense of education. If I can get one person to hear this and think, hey, that could happen to me, and then maybe keep them out of a dangerous situation, well, then I've done my part. If you did enjoy this video and would like more content like this, or content that is so different you couldn't even believe how different it is. It's like comparing bananas to industrial toilet plungers. It's not even nearly the same thing. Not even the same, like, zip code, I guess. That was stupid. Anyway, if you want more content like this, please do consider joining the Nevermore. To join the Nevermore, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button and the bell icon next to it. You can also support the Nevermore by sending me your stories at the link down below if you have a story you'd like me to read, or liking me on Facebook, joining my subreddit, following me on Twitter, or supporting me through Patreon, or a one-time donation through Ko-fi. All of these things help the Nevermore grow, and they're greatly appreciated. Alright, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day, and I hope you have a beautiful and just a fantastic weekend. 4th of July is this weekend. It's actually tomorrow. Anyway, I hope you have just a wonderful weekend. I mean, technically, I guess not all of you would celebrate 4th of July. I have some people who watch in Australia and England, so. Anyway, have a great day and a fantastic weekend. Stay safe out there, regardless of where you are. I love you all. See you in the next video, but until then, sleep well.